The night stretches wide, a velvet expanse scattered with distant, flickering stars, and somewhere, just beyond the reach of human sight, lie worlds that have long been forgotten. They whisper through the winds that sweep across ancient deserts, through the slow flow of rivers that have carried the memories of countless generations. These are lands not marked on any map, realms not etched in a stone by the hands of men, yet they linger in the folds of history, in the stories told beside fires, in the delicate carvings of temples now swallowed by sand and shadow. It is here, in this delicate balance between what is known and what is imagined, that our journey begins. Close your eyes for a moment and listen. Can you hear the soft murmur of civilizations long vanished? The echo of laughter, the quiet hum of ritual chants, the measured steps of priests and wanderers navigating pathways that have no place on the maps of today. These hidden realms are as real to those who believed in them as the earth beneath our feet, yet they remain elusive, dancing on the boundary between memory and myth. Each story, each legend, carries the weight of human longing, the desire to reach beyond, to touch what is just out of reach, to glimpse the eternal. From the sun-scorched plains of Mesopotamia to the lush valleys of distant mountains, from islands that vanish into the mists of time to forests where shadows move with their own life, the earth has always been more than it seems. Ancient peoples spoke of gates that led to other worlds, thresholds where one might step from the ordinary into the extraordinary. They described lands where life never waned, where rivers gleamed like liquid silver under perpetual sunlight, where the sky was closer, as if the heavens themselves had bent to kiss the earth. These were not merely fanciful tales, for in every whisper of wind and every glint of water, there lies a truth that transcends what can be measured or held. And yet, for all their wonder, these hidden realms were shrouded in shadow. They were places of contrast, light and dark, life and death, the mortal and the divine. In one breath, they promised eternal beauty. In the next, they threatened oblivion. The storytellers of old understood that to speak of paradise was also to speak of the void, for every paradise had its counterpart, every sacred path a perilous descent. It is in this tension between awe and fear that the imagination took flight. Here, myths were born not merely as entertainment, but as maps of the human soul, guiding travelers through the landscapes of hope, memory, and mystery. Imagine, for a moment, standing on the edge of such a world. The air is thick with the scent of unknown flowers, and the light shimmers as though filtered through liquid gold. Every step echoes softly, carrying you deeper into a realm untouched by time. Trees whisper secrets in a language older than words, and the ground pulses with a subtle rhythm, a heartbeat of the world itself. Somewhere nearby, a river sings a song of beginnings and endings, of civilizations that rose and fell, of lovers who wandered too far and never returned. This is the threshold between what we can grasp and what only our hearts can sense. In the stillness of these moments, one begins to understand why humans have always sought hidden realms. Perhaps it is a yearning for permanence in a world that is constantly changing, or a desire to find meaning in the vastness that stretches beyond sight. Perhaps it is simply the need to believe that there is more than what we touch, more than what we see, more than the fleeting days and nights of mortal life. Across deserts and oceans, mountains and forests, the call of these mystical lands has persisted, carried on the lips of storytellers, inscribed on sacred walls, whispered in the hush of twilight. And so, as we embark on this journey together, let us move gently, with eyes open to wonder and hearts attuned to mystery. Let us follow the threads of stories that have traveled through time, woven from the imaginations of those who looked beyond the horizon and dreamed of something greater. These are the lands where the forgotten mingle with the eternal, where history and myth converge, where the quiet murmur of the past invites us to listen, to imagine, to wander. Step softly, for the boundaries are thin here, and the worlds we seek may already be within us, waiting to be seen. Between the fertile stretches of the Tigris and Euphrates, where the sun sets in golden waves across the desert, the first whispers of civilization rose. Mesopotamia, the land between rivers, became more than a cradle of human settlement. It became a theater of imagination, a place where the boundaries between the real and the mystical were delicate, almost transparent. The Sumerians, the Akkadians, and later the Babylonians looked at the flowing waters and the endless skies and wondered if there were worlds beyond their own, places touched by the divine, where life and death moved in rhythms unknown to mortals. Here, amid reed-lined canals and clay-brick temples, the first gates to hidden realms began to take shape, not on maps, but in stories, in the songs of priests and scribes, in the quiet hum of night as the stars blinked above. Listen closely, and you can almost hear the soft cadence of their beliefs. The Sumerians spoke of Dilmun, a place of pure existence, untouched by sorrow or decay, a paradise set apart from the toil of the living world. In this land, rivers gleamed like molten silver, gardens never withered, and the sun lingered gently on the horizon, casting warmth without harshness. To those who imagined it, Dilmun was both a destination and a promise, a reflection of humanity's longing for permanence in a world of shifting sands and unpredictable tides. The story unfolds not as mere legend, but as an intimate mirror of the human desire to find sanctuary, a place where the spirit might breathe freely, unburdened by time or suffering. Yet the same civilizations that dreamed of paradise also conceived of realms of shadow. Beneath the earth, they believed, stretched the labyrinthine expanses of Kur, the underworld, a place of quiet darkness and eternal rest, where the dead wandered through tunnels of stone and river. It was a world defined by contrasts. Life and death, the warm sunlit plains above and the cold, silent soil below. The underworld was not only a destination for souls, but a canvas on which the ancients projected their fears and hopes, the unseen counterpart to the paradises they envisioned. The stories of Kur were intricate, filled with winding rivers, guarded gates, and shadowy figures who measured the deeds of mortals, reminding all who listened that the world of the living is entwined with realms beyond perception. As we walk along the banks of the Euphrates, let your imagination drift like the river's current. Temples rise in quiet majesty, ziggurats reaching toward the heavens, each step of their stone stairways a ladder between worlds. Priests would ascend these steps at dawn, their chants merging with the morning wind, and for a fleeting moment, the veil between the earthly and the divine seemed almost transparent. It is here, amid incense and the soft ripple of water, that humans first learned to navigate the subtle geography of the unseen. Every city wall, every sacred text, was a bridge linking the tangible world of clay and reed to the infinite landscapes of the mind and spirit. The Babylonians, too, added layers of wonder to this hidden geography. In their cosmology, the heavens were a firmament above, dotted with stars and planets, each a divine presence, each moving in intricate harmony. Beneath the firmament, the earth stretched wide, and below that, the watery abyss contained untold mysteries. In these layers of existence, one could trace the movement of gods and spirits, and perhaps glimpse the path of those who had journeyed beyond. The careful observers of the skies believed that the movements of celestial bodies could reveal secrets of hidden lands, that the dance of stars and moons mirrored the unseen rhythms of human fate. In the quiet hours of night, as the desert cooled and the stars reflected on still canals, the mind could wander far, imagining realms of both splendor and shadow. It is impossible to speak of Mesopotamia without noticing how deeply their environment shaped these dreams. The rivers gave life, yet they could flood without warning, washing away homes and harvests. The deserts stretched endlessly, a blank canvas where imagination could roam freely. In response, the people created worlds both comforting and cautionary, places where eternal life awaited the virtuous, and subterranean realms held the weight of judgment. Every myth was a reflection of lived experience. The tension between creation and destruction, between abundance and scarcity, between the seen and the unseen. And within this tension, a kind of quiet magic took root, one that would echo for millennia in the stories of all civilizations to come. Perhaps the most enchanting aspect of these hidden realms is their permeability. The ancients did not see the world in rigid separations of reality and fantasy. A temple courtyard, a sacred grove, a river bend could all serve as thresholds, points where humans might brush against the extraordinary. Every ritual, every offering, every whispered prayer was an attempt to step closer to the divine landscape, to open a door into the hidden. The stories passed down through generations were, in essence, guides for navigating both the world outside and the worlds within. They remind us that to imagine a hidden realm is not merely to escape, but to explore the layers of existence that reside quietly alongside our own. As the sun sinks low over the Mesopotamian horizon, painting the rivers with molten gold, we pause to reflect on the interplay of light and shadow, of life and the promise of what lies beyond. These ancient lands, rich with the scent of mud, wheat, and incense, still resonate with the quiet murmur of possibility. They teach us that the world is never truly flat, never entirely mapped, that beneath every measured canal, beneath every sun-baked brick, there may lie a doorway into realms both wondrous and shadowed. The stories of Dilmun and Kur are invitations, gentle and persistent, to dream of lands where the heart and spirit can wander freely, unbound by the limits of the known. And so, as we leave the banks of the Tigris and Euphrates, the river's song continues to linger in our minds, a soft, enduring melody that carries us forward. The gates of Mesopotamia have opened, and the first glimpses of hidden realms have been revealed. Yet beyond these lands, across seas, deserts, and mountains, countless other worlds await, each with its own mysteries, its own contrasts of light and shadow, life and death, wonder and caution. Our journey has only just begun, and the whispers of forgotten worlds beckon us onward, promising new discoveries in the realms of the unseen, where imagination and history entwine in an eternal, tranquil dance. The sun rises slowly over the vast expanse of the Nile, spilling molten light across a landscape that has witnessed the passage of millennia. The river, steady and patient, winds through deserts and fertile plains, a lifeline that has nurtured civilizations for thousands of years. To the people of ancient Egypt, the Nile was more than water and soil. It was a living thread connecting the known world to the mysteries beyond. Its gentle lapping carried whispers of gods and ancestors, of life and death, of realms hidden beneath the surface of the earth and above the endless sky. Here, the boundaries between reality and myth felt fluid, as if one step could lead from the sun-warmed banks into a shadowy world where the divine walked among the living. Imagine walking along the riverbank as dawn breaks. The soft, golden light glimmers on the water, illuminating the towering reeds and the silhouettes of early settlements. Farmers move quietly, guiding their cattle and tending the fields, while priests and scribes move with deliberate reverence, carrying the sacred knowledge of gods and the pathways of the afterlife. Every stone, every mound, every temple wall speaks in a language older than words, revealing the Egyptian understanding of the cosmos, a world divided into layers, each inhabited by beings both benevolent and fearsome. Above, the sky stretches infinite, a vault where Ra sails as golden bark, guiding the sun on its eternal journey. Below, the earth hides secrets yet to be discovered, corridors that may lead to realms untouched by human eyes. Central to the Egyptian vision of hidden worlds is Duat, the shadowy, mysterious land of the afterlife. Unlike the underworlds of other civilizations, Duat is neither a place of punishment nor simple rest. It is a realm of transition and transformation, a landscape that challenges and tests the soul as it journeys toward eternity. Rivers flow beneath crystalline skies. Serpents and spirits slither through corridors of light and darkness, and gods, each with their own domain, guide or obstruct those who pass. The Egyptians believed that the living could influence this realm through rituals, offerings, and the meticulous construction of tombs. Each hieroglyph carved into stone, each chamber within a pyramid, acted as a signpost or a beacon, designed to ensure safe passage for the departed. The architecture of the Nile Valley itself seems to echo the contours of Duat, suggesting that the physical and spiritual worlds were never truly separate. It is easy to lose oneself in the imagery of these hidden landscapes. The pyramids, rising like monumental stairways to the heavens, dominate the desert horizon. Their sheer geometry is more than an architectural marvel. It is a map of celestial and spiritual alignment. The Great Pyramid at Giza, aligned with stars and cardinal points, is not merely stone stacked upon stone. It is a portal, a conduit through which the pharaoh, the living embodiment of divine authority, might ascend toward the eternal. As the wind whispers across the sand, it carries with it the faint echo of chants, of rituals performed at dawn and dusk, of footsteps moving through corridors where light barely penetrates. These are the hidden worlds of the Egyptians, waiting silently, patiently, for those willing to see beyond the veil. And yet, Egypt's hidden realms are not solely beneath the ground. The temples along the Nile, with their towering columns and intricate reliefs, offer glimpses of celestial paths and sacred journeys. The walls tell stories of gods traversing the skies in boats of gold, of battles between order and chaos, of resurrection and eternal life. Each image, carefully carved and painted, is both a record and an invitation, a way to understand the cosmos and the place of humanity within it. The interplay of shadow and light, stone and sky, mirrors the dualities that define Egyptian cosmology: life and death, order and chaos, the mortal and the divine. In these contrasts, the imagination is free to wander, guided gently by the rhythm of the Nile and the subtle patterns of stars above. Consider the journey of the soul in Egyptian belief. After death, the spirit moves through Duat, encountering rivers, mountains, and gates that test its worthiness. It faces both peril and promise, moving closer to the eternal paradise known as the Field of Reeds, where the virtuous may dwell in peace. The Egyptians understood that the boundaries between life and death, seen and unseen, were permeable, and that the actions of the living could influence the fate of souls. Mummification, tomb inscriptions, and sacred rituals were all designed to create harmony between worlds, to ensure that the passage from one realm to another was safe and guided. In this, the Egyptians reveal a profound understanding of the human desire for continuity, for connection, for the eternal. But the beauty of Egypt's mystical lands is not confined to its theology or architecture. It is found in the sensory richness of the landscape, the whisper of reeds in the river breeze, the warmth of sun-baked stone underfoot, the shimmer of light across golden sands, the distant cry of birds as they circle above ancient temples. These physical sensations anchor the imagination, making the hidden realms feel tangible, as if they might be glimpsed by anyone who listens closely enough. Each sound, each texture, each subtle shift of shadow acts as a bridge between the familiar and the extraordinary, inviting the mind to wander gently into spaces beyond ordinary perception. And so, the Nile is both a river of life and a river of stories, carrying the essence of hidden worlds across time. In its flowing waters, one can sense the rhythm of civilizations, the pulse of human hope, the delicate dance between light and shadow that shapes every myth and legend. From the quiet villages along its banks to the grand cities that rose and fell in its fertile valleys, the land hums with memory, offering glimpses of realms that exist not only beyond death, but also alongside life itself. It is a world where imagination, faith, and experience converge, where every step and every gesture might brush against the infinite. As we move slowly through this ancient landscape, it becomes clear that Egypt's mystical geography is both a reflection of the natural world and an extension of the human spirit. The deserts, the river, the sky, and the stars are not merely backdrops. They are active participants in the shaping of belief, offering both challenge and solace, mystery and guidance. The hidden realms of Egypt teach us that the sacred is woven into the ordinary, that magic resides in the rhythms of daily life as much as in grand temples and monumental tombs. They invite us to consider that perhaps every landscape, every river, every rising sun carries within it the potential for worlds unseen, waiting for those willing to look, to listen, and to dream. And so, as we leave the banks of the Nile for a moment, the stories of Duet and the Field of Reeds, of pharaohs ascending toward the heavens, and spirits navigating shadowed corridors, linger softly in the mind. The contrasts, the sunlit world of the living and the shadowed pathways of the afterlife, the vast desert and the flowing river, the mortal and the divine, create a rhythm that echoes across time. These hidden realms of ancient Egypt are not confined to history. They are timeless, waiting quietly for the imagination to wander once more, gently guiding us toward lands yet to be explored, stories yet to be told, and mysteries that shimmer just beyond the horizon. As we drift westward across the seas, the landscape begins to change. Rolling green hills rise and fall beneath a mist that clings to the earth like a quiet secret. Streams glimmer softly under the muted light of dawn, and forests stretch their shadows over ancient stones, standing sentinel through countless generations. This is the land of the Celts, a place where time feels slower, where the natural world is alive with spirits, and where hidden realms are whispered in the rustle of leaves and the sigh of the wind. Here, the ordinary and the extraordinary merge seamlessly, and the imagination is free to roam across the edges of reality. The Celtic otherworld awaits, a realm of enchantment and eternal youth, glimpsed only by those attuned to its subtle currents. In Irish mythology, it is called Tir na Nog, the land of youth, a place untouched by aging, sorrow, or death. Legends tell of luminous islands floating beyond the western seas, veiled in mists that obscure them from mortal sight. Travelers who venture too close may glimpse golden towers rising above lush meadows, rivers that shine like liquid crystal, and forests filled with creatures that speak in whispers and riddles. Time behaves differently here. A single day in the mortal world may stretch to centuries, or centuries may pass in the blink of an eye. This gentle distortion of time reflects the human desire to escape the inevitability of mortality, to wander in a world where the heart and the spirit remain forever unburdened. Imagine standing on a cliff overlooking the sea at twilight, the waves lapping softly against the rocks below. The air carries the scent of salt and wildflowers, mingling with the faint, elusive fragrance of something unseen yet deeply familiar. Perhaps a distant melody drifts across the water, a song of celebration, or a warning, or merely the laughter of those who dwell beyond the horizon. In the Celtic tradition, these sounds are not always literal. They're the echoes of hidden realms, vibrations that reach the senses only when the mind is quiet, when the heart is open. To listen carefully is to approach the boundary, to sense the threshold between the known world and the enchanted isles that lie beyond. Standing stones and sacred groves are scattered across the landscape, each a marker of liminality, a doorway through which one might step into the other world. Druids, the keepers of ancient wisdom, moved among these spaces with measured reverence, interpreting the signs of nature, reading the movements of stars, and guiding souls toward the unseen. The stones hum with an energy that is subtle but persistent, a quiet rhythm that resonates in the bones and in the imagination. Forests are not merely collections of trees, but living entities, guardians of secret paths and hidden clearings, where time slows and ordinary concerns fall away. In these places, the boundary between reality and myth blurs, and the other world becomes almost tangible, waiting to be entered by those who seek it with respect and curiosity. The tales of heroes and wanderers in Celtic lore often involve journeys across this threshold. They tell of mortals who venture too far, guided by the call of a mystical harp or a silver light, only to find themselves in lands of wonder where the rules of nature are suspended. One may encounter fairies who offer gifts that are both blessings and curses, rivers that flow backward, and animals that speak with the wisdom of ages. These stories are filled with contrasts, echoing the tension between desire and caution, beauty and danger, the mortal and the eternal. They remind listeners that hidden realms are rarely simple, that enchantment carries a subtle weight, and that curiosity must be balanced with care. Yet the Celtic otherworld is not only a place of challenge, it is also a sanctuary. Tir na Nog represents an ideal, a vision of life in harmony with nature and spirit, a place where joy is perpetual and sorrow does not touch the heart. The islands float beyond the horizon, elusive yet ever-present, a reminder of what is possible when the imagination is unbound. In the quiet of the hills, beneath the canopy of mist-laden forests, one can sense the pull of this timeless land, a gentle invitation to pause, to breathe, to remember the deep, enduring connection between the human soul and the world beyond the ordinary. It is a dream of wholeness, a vision of completeness, carried down through generations in songs, poems, and whispered tales. The landscape itself seems to mirror the otherworld. Rolling hills and hidden valleys, meandering rivers and secluded glades, all form a tapestry of liminal spaces, places where the veil between worlds is thin. The natural rhythms of wind, water, and wildlife create a cadence that lulls the mind into a receptive state, allowing glimpses of the unseen. In the quiet moments before dawn, when mist clings to the earth and the first birds begin their song, it is as if the world itself pauses, revealing a subtle shimmer of the magical lands that exist just beyond perception. These are the moments when one can almost touch the timeless beauty of Tir na Nog, when imagination and reality intertwine in delicate harmony. Across the Celtic lands, islands and forests are not merely geographical features, but symbolic portals. To journey through them is to traverse layers of consciousness, moving between the familiar and the fantastic, the seen and the hidden. The otherworld reflects the deepest desires and fears of the human heart, the longing for eternal joy, the fear of loss, the pursuit of wisdom, and the courage to venture into the unknown. The stories, the landscapes, and the rituals all work together to create a living map of hidden realms, a guide for those who would explore both the outer world and the inner depths of imagination. And so, as the mist lifts and the sun begins its slow ascent, casting a gentle glow over the hills and streams, we are reminded of the power of myth to shape perception. The Celtic otherworld is not confined to ancient tales or distant islands. It exists wherever the heart is open to wonder, wherever imagination allows itself to wander beyond the edges of the ordinary. In the whispers of the wind, in the shimmer of light on a quiet river, in the soft rustle of leaves in a secluded forest, the hidden realms endure, timeless and serene, inviting us to step lightly, listen carefully, and dream without end. The journey from the green hills of Ireland to these mystical islands carries us forward, bridging the gap between the tangible and the imagined, preparing the mind for new horizons yet to be revealed. Beyond the western seas, other lands of legend wait to be discovered, each with its own stories, its own contrasts of light and shadow, life and death, wonder and caution. The whispers of the Celtic otherworld linger in the mind, a gentle echo that guides us onward, toward the mysteries of lost continents and sunken cities, toward lands imagined in the hearts of philosophers and dreamers, toward the enduring call of hidden realms that shimmer just beyond the horizon. Beyond the misty shores of the Celtic Isles, where the ocean stretches endlessly toward the horizon, there lies a story that has fascinated humanity for millennia, a tale of a land lost to the waves, a civilization that existed in harmony and splendor, and yet vanished as if it had never been. This is the story of Atlantis, the dream of perfection and the cautionary echo of what might be lost. Plato's voice carries across time, describing an island beyond the Pillars of Hercules, a place of immense wealth and advanced knowledge, where kings ruled with wisdom and the arts flourished. It is a land both tangible in the imagination and elusive in reality, a mirror reflecting human longing, ambition, and the fragile nature of civilization itself. Imagine the sun rising over the shores of Atlantis, casting light on palaces of marble and canals lined with blossoming gardens. The air is warm, scented with salt and the fragrance of unfamiliar flowers, alive with the hum of daily life. People move with purpose and grace, their lives intertwined with the rhythms of the land and the sea. Temples rise in quiet majesty, their spires reaching toward the heavens, and statues of God stand guard over bustling plazas. In this vision, Atlantis is not merely a city. It is an ideal, a harmonious convergence of nature, architecture, and human endeavor. Every stone, every pathway, every reflection of sunlight on water seems designed to balance beauty with utility, to create a world that resonates with perfection. Yet the story of Atlantis is tinged with shadow, a reminder that even the most radiant lands are vulnerable to the forces of time and fate. The island's perfection became its own peril. According to Plato, hubris grew among its people. Pride and ambition eclipsed wisdom and compassion. The very balance that had made the land extraordinary began to falter, and the earth itself seemed to respond. Tremors shook the foundations of temples, waters rose to claim the plains, and in a single night, the island sank beneath the waves, leaving only memory and myth. The tale is a powerful contrast, the light of creation shadowed by the inevitability of impermanence, the brilliance of human achievement shadowed by the fragility of existence. There is a quiet poetry in imagining Atlantis in its final moments. Waves lap gently against marble steps, gardens bloom for the last time, and the sky reflects the golden glow of a setting sun. People move through the streets with a mixture of awe and resignation, perhaps unaware of the impending catastrophe, or perhaps guided by whispers of prophecy. The ocean that had nurtured life now becomes the agent of disappearance, swallowing canals and palaces alike, until only a memory remains, carried across the centuries in the minds of philosophers, poets, and dreamers. The story evokes both wonder and melancholy, a lullaby of a world that could have been, and a reminder that perfection is as delicate as a sunbeam on water. Atlantis is more than a lost city. It is a symbol, an archetype that transcends geography and time. Throughout history, the idea of a vanished land has resurfaced in countless forms. Sunken continents whispered in the myths of the Pacific, submerged kingdoms imagined beneath the Mediterranean, and secret lands hidden beneath the ice or deep within mountains. The allure of Atlantis lies not in proving its physical existence, but in the resonance of its story. It embodies the eternal human yearning for a place where knowledge, beauty, and harmony converge, a land where the human spirit might touch the divine, and where the fleeting nature of life is softened by the permanence of memory and imagination. And yet, for all its mystery, Atlantis is also an invitation to reflect on human nature. The story suggests that every civilization carries the seeds of its own rise and fall, that even the most advanced societies are bound by the same laws that govern the flow of rivers and the movement of stars. The island's brilliance and its sudden disappearance serve as metaphors, gently guiding the mind to consider the balance between creation and destruction, pride and humility, knowledge and wisdom. In contemplating Atlantis, we are drawn into a quiet meditation on impermanence, on the fragility of what we hold dear, and on the enduring beauty of striving toward ideals that may never be fully realized. Perhaps the greatest enchantment of Atlantis is the space it leaves for imagination. Unlike a city whose ruins can be walked, touched, and measured, Atlantis exists primarily in thought, in vision, in the delicate weaving of words and ideas. One can wander through its streets without leaving the comfort of a quiet room, following the gentle cadence of narration as if stepping through a veil between the known and the unknown. The mind fills in the details, the shimmer of sunlight on the water, the laughter of children echoing through stone courtyards, the scent of flowers carried on the wind, and the faint murmur of the sea embracing the island as if in a tender farewell. In this way, Atlantis lives, quietly and persistently, in the inner landscapes of those who dream, a hidden realm accessible to imagination alone. In the hush of contemplation, one begins to perceive a subtle connection between Atlantis and the other mystical lands we have visited. Like Dilmun in Mesopotamia or Tir na Nog in the Celtic imagination, Atlantis represents both hope and caution, beauty and impermanence, the human longing to reach beyond the ordinary and touch the extraordinary. It is a testament to the power of stories to bridge time, to carry the essence of hidden realms across centuries, to inspire awe and reflection. In its sunken streets and vanished palaces, there is a whisper of the eternal, a reminder that the pursuit of knowledge, beauty, and harmony is itself a journey into a hidden world that exists within the human spirit. Consider for a moment the way Atlantis has shaped thought beyond myth. Philosophers, explorers, and dreamers have long speculated on its possible location, on the lessons embedded in its narrative. The island becomes a mirror, reflecting both our curiosity and our humility, inviting us to explore not just maps and texts, but the deeper realms of consciousness. Atlantis reminds us that hidden lands are not always physical spaces. They may be landscapes of the mind, territories of imagination where the heart and spirit wander freely. The contrasts that define it, creation and destruction, perfection and impermanence, the known and the unknown, echo through the corridors of history, guiding listeners gently toward reflection and wonder. And so, as the waves lap softly against unseen shores, and the golden light fades into twilight, the story of Atlantis lingers, quiet and persistent, in the imagination. It is a reminder that even vanished worlds leave traces, subtle yet enduring, carried not on maps, but in the collective memory of humanity. The island calls not with urgency, but with gentle invitation, encouraging the mind to wander across oceans of thought and time, to contemplate the eternal dance between aspiration and fragility, beauty and shadow. Atlantis, in all its brilliance and mystery, becomes a beacon for those who seek the hidden realms, the lands beyond the horizon, and the quiet wonders that lie just out of reach, waiting to be discovered in the calm landscapes of the imagination. And as we prepare to leave this sunken paradise behind, the mind drifts naturally toward the east, where mountains and temples rise into clouds, where hidden kingdoms of peace and enlightenment await discovery. The journey continues, carrying with it the lessons of Atlantis, the delicate balance between human striving and humility, the enduring power of myth, and the quiet, persistent call of lands that exist both in memory and imagination. The story of Atlantis is a gentle current, guiding us onward, toward lands both mystical and hidden, toward worlds shaped by the imagination of those who dare to dream, and toward the eternal horizon where history, myth, and mystery converge in tranquil harmony. As we move eastward, the landscape rises into towering mountains and verdant valleys, where the mist clings to peaks like a whisper of the unknown. Here, in the heart of ancient India and the vast expanses of the Himalayas, the imagination of civilizations unfolded into realms both mystical and profound. The mountains were more than stone and ice. They were the spine of the world, the axis mundi around which the cosmos itself seemed to turn. Within their silent heights and hidden valleys, people glimpsed the eternal, places where gods walked, spirits lingered, and the boundaries between the visible and invisible worlds became nearly transparent. The geography itself seemed to invite contemplation, to suggest that hidden lands exist not only in distant lands, but in the spaces where earth and sky meet. In Hindu cosmology, Mount Meru stands at the center of the universe, its summit rising beyond clouds, its base anchored in the depths of the world. Around it lie concentric rings of oceans and continents, realms inhabited by gods, sages, and mystical creatures. Meru is not merely a physical mountain. It is a cosmic axis connecting heaven, earth, and the underworld. Pilgrims and seekers of wisdom imagine themselves journeying along its slopes, each step a meditation, each breath a connection to the divine. The mountain embodies the intersection of the natural and spiritual landscapes, reminding us that in seeking hidden realms, one is as likely to travel inward as outward, tracing the contours of the mind and soul as well as the earth. Equally captivating is Shambhala, the hidden kingdom of peace and enlightenment, described in Tibetan and Buddhist traditions. Shambhala is a land beyond ordinary perception, nestled in valleys protected by mountains, shrouded in mist and mystery. It is said to be a place of perfect harmony, where wisdom guides rulers, compassion shapes communities, and the mind is free from the distortions of fear and desire. Legend suggests that only those who cultivate spiritual insight, courage, and purity of heart can find the way to this secret realm. The very idea of Shambhala evokes contrast. The bustling world of human endeavor outside, its valleys versus the tranquil perfection within, the chaos of mortal life against the stillness of the enlightened. It is a gentle reminder that hidden realms are often found in the subtle alignment of perception and intent, not merely in geography. Imagine standing on a high Himalayan ridge at dawn. The air is thin, crisp, carrying the faint scent of pine and snow, and the sun rises slowly over peaks that gleam like silver in the early light. Valleys lie cloaked in clouds, shifting like silk, and somewhere within these folds, hidden kingdoms may lie, invisible to all but the attuned eye. In the hush of this moment, it is easy to understand why ancient peoples imagined such lands. The mountains themselves seem to breathe, their slopes and crests alive with the rhythms of earth and sky, whispering secrets of endurance, resilience, and quiet revelation. Every stone, every gust of wind, every glimmer of sunlight becomes a doorway, a threshold into the mystical. The spiritual and the earthly intertwine in these hidden realms. Temples and monasteries perched on cliffs, accessible only by narrow paths, act as points of convergence between worlds. Pilgrims ascend, carrying offerings, chants, and meditative focus, their journeys reflecting both physical and spiritual exploration. Sacred rivers wind through valleys, their waters thought to carry blessings and the presence of deities. Forests conceal hermitages and groves where sages meditate for years, attuning themselves to the hidden energies of the earth. Every element, mountain, river, temple, and forest, works in harmony to create a landscape alive with meaning, a geography that is at once tangible and symbolic, real and imagined. In these mystical lands, the concept of hidden realms extends beyond physical boundaries into the mind and spirit. Meditation, ritual, and pilgrimage are not merely acts of devotion. They are explorations of inner worlds, echoing the outer landscapes that surround them. The journey through mountains, across rivers, and into secluded valleys becomes a metaphor for the journey inward, into consciousness, understanding, and the eternal. In this sense, the hidden realms of India are not simply places to be found on a map, but experiences to be lived, states of being that can be accessed through discipline, awareness, and the quiet cultivation of insight. Stories of divine beings, sages, and mystical creatures populate these landscapes. Gods walk the valleys, teaching, guiding, or testing those who venture too far. Spirits linger in glacial caves, whispering advice or warnings to the worthy. Each tale carries layers of meaning, balancing morality, cosmology, and human aspiration. The contrasts are subtle yet powerful. The serenity of enlightenment against the turbulence of human desires, the permanence of mountains versus the fleeting lies of mortals, the stillness of Shambhala against the ceaseless motion of worldly existence. In these tensions, the imagination is free to wander, to construct hidden worlds not merely as locations, but as living, breathing landscapes of mind, spirit, and memory. The allure of hidden realms in this part of the world is not only philosophical or spiritual, it is also sensory. The sound of snow-laden winds sweeping through valleys, the glimmer of sunlight on ice, the delicate fragrance of alpine flowers carried on a quiet breeze. All of these elements create a tangible, immersive sense of place. Listeners can imagine themselves moving through the terrain, feeling the firmness of rocky ground beneath their feet, the crisp chill of high-altitude air on their skin, and the subtle vibrations of mountains that seem alive with ancient energy. In this way, the hidden realms of India are not abstract. They are deeply experiential, connecting body, mind, and imagination in a gentle, contemplative rhythm. The mountains, the valleys, and the hidden kingdoms invite reflection on the human desire for transcendence. Across civilizations, people have looked toward peaks, clouds, and distant horizons as places where ordinary life intersects with the extraordinary. Hidden realms represent the aspiration to touch something eternal, to find harmony amid chaos, to glimpse the ineffable beauty that exists beyond ordinary perception. In the peaks and valleys of India, this aspiration is palpable, embedded in every story, every temple, every meditation, and every whispered legend of Shambhala or Meru. The land itself becomes a teacher, guiding the heart and mind toward insight, patience, and wonder. As the sun reaches its zenith, casting light across glacial slopes and verdant valleys, the mind begins to perceive the subtle interplay of contrast that define these mystical lands. The heights of aspiration and the depths of humility, the clarity of insight and the obscurity of mystery, the permanence of mountains and the transience of life. In this balance, the hidden realms of India reveal themselves not as distant utopias, but as reflections of the potential within each human being, the capacity for wisdom, compassion, and harmony. They are lands both imagined and real, accessible not only through exploration of the world, but through quiet contemplation, awareness, and the nurturing of the inner self. And so, as we prepare to leave the peaks and valleys behind, the echoes of these hidden realms linger softly in the mind. Mount Meru, Shambhala, and the Himalayan landscapes continue to resonate as symbols of eternal possibility, guiding the imagination toward new horizons. The journey eastward has shown that hidden realms are as much about inner perception as outer geography, about the alignment of spirit and place, about the gentle exploration of life's mysteries. The mountains and valleys fade from view, but their lessons endure. That every landscape may conceal hidden paths, that every horizon hints at lands unseen, and that the mystical, eternal worlds humanity has long dreamed of remain quietly present, waiting to be discovered by those who listen, imagine, and wander. Far to the east, beyond mountains and rivers, beyond forests thick with the scent of cedar and pine, lie the islands of Japan, a landscape where land and sea converse in gentle whispers, where mist-shrouded mountains meet the endless horizon of the Pacific. In this place, the natural world itself is alive with spirit, and hidden realms are imagined not only in distant landscapes, but in every grove, waterfall, and quiet temple. The Japanese perception of the unseen, kami, spirits of nature, and sacred forces, permeates daily life, infusing even the most ordinary moments with quiet mystery. Every rustle of leaves, every ripple in a stream, and every shadow cast by moonlight hints at hidden worlds waiting just beyond perception. In Shinto belief, the sacred exists in all things. Mountains are gods, rivers are sentient, rocks and trees possess spirits, and certain sites serve as thresholds where humans may touch the divine. Mount Fuji, rising high above the islands, is more than a peak. It is a symbol of spiritual ascent, a conduit between the heavens and the earth. Pilgrims climb its slopes with reverence, guided by centuries of ritual and the gentle cadence of prayer. The journey is as much inward as it is upward, a pilgrimage into the hidden realms of spirit and consciousness, where every step offers reflection and insight. The mountain becomes a bridge between the physical world and the eternal, between what is known and what can only be intuited. Along the coastal edges, islands shrouded in fog and sea mist evoke stories of elusive kingdoms and mystical encounters. Legends speak of Ryugajo, the dragon palace beneath the ocean, a place of strange beauty and eternal time. Those who venture beneath the waves find not peril alone, but splendor, gardens of coral, jeweled halls, and the rhythmic pulse of the ocean as a living entity. Time flows differently here, moments stretching into years, perception blending with wonder. Visitors are transformed, their senses heightened, their hearts attuned to the subtle energies of a realm hidden beneath the ordinary. The story of the Dragon Palace is a meditation on curiosity, humility, and the delicate balance between mortal life and the mysteries that lie beyond. Forests and bamboo groves, too, are rich with unseen presences. The spirits of the land, invisible yet perceptible, inhabit the dense woods, appearing as fleeting shadows, rustling leaves, or the soft murmur of wind. Ancient temples nestled among the trees serve as points of convergence, sanctuaries where the human spirit meets the sacred. Monks and wanderers tread these paths quietly, their movements harmonized with the rhythms of nature. The contrasts of light and shadow, the interplay of open sky and dense canopy, create a delicate tension that both calms and awakens the mind. Hidden realms here are not distant or separate. They are interwoven with daily life, accessible through attentiveness, humility, and reverence. Japanese mythology further enriches these landscapes with tales of beings that inhabit liminal spaces. Tengu, the bird-like guardians of mountains; Kitsune, fox spirits capable of transformation; and Kami, whose presence may reside in a waterfall or a solitary stone. These entities exist on the edge of perception, visible only to those attuned to the rhythms of the world. They embody the subtle interplay of light and shadow, guidance and mischief, teaching and caution. Encounters with such beings are never straightforward. They require observation, patience, and respect. In this, the hidden realms of Japan encourage a heightened awareness, an invitation to attune to the world in all its subtle complexity, to perceive the mystical woven seamlessly into the fabric of the ordinary. Consider the gentle rituals of Japanese tea ceremonies, carefully arranged gardens, and sacred festivals. Each is a practice of connection and reflection, a subtle passage into a space where the hidden can be sensed if not fully seen. Water flows over stone, incense drifts through air, petals fall with deliberate grace, and every detail is a guide to mindfulness, presence, and awareness of the sacred. In these moments, the boundary between the material and the spiritual softens. Listeners, even in imagination, can feel the quiet rhythm, as if walking through a hidden temple garden, inhaling the fragrance of blossoms and hearing the gentle trickle of water. It is here that the hidden realms of Japan reveal their intimacy, showing that the mystical does not always require grand gestures, but can reside in delicate, everyday interactions with the natural world. Japan's islands, too, hold stories of hidden worlds shaped by the sea. The northern reaches, with jagged coastlines and mist-laden waters, conceal legends of lost civilizations, sea spirits, and islands that appear and vanish with the tides. Sailors of old spoke of visions glimpsed at dawn, islands of golden light, forests that shimmered beneath clouds, and palaces beneath the waves. These tales are more than fanciful. They are expressions of human longing to explore, to encounter, and to touch what lies beyond ordinary perception. The sea becomes a mirror for imagination, its movements echoing the subtle rhythms of hidden worlds, inviting a quiet surrender to mystery and guiding the mind across thresholds that cannot be charted on maps. The interplay of the visible and invisible, of mundane and magical, is at the heart of Japan's mystical geography. A lone path through a bamboo grove may lead to revelation. A waterfall may conceal a hidden sanctuary. A mountain trail may ascend into a realm of spirit. The contrast between the familiar and the unknown, the tangible and the unseen, keeps the imagination alert, gently drawing the listener into landscapes that exist in the spaces between perception and thought. Japan's hidden realms are subtle, serene, and intimate, asking not for conquest or proof, but for attentiveness, presence, and the willingness to wander with reverence through the quiet corners of the world. As the sun begins to sink, casting long shadows across the islands, the mist lifts slightly, revealing glimpses of the hidden yet enduring forces that shape this land. The mountains, forests, rivers, and seas all hum with the quiet presence of the unseen. In this liminal light, it is easy to understand why generations have imagined realms that coexist alongside the ordinary. These hidden spaces are reflections of inner and outer worlds, teaching patience, mindfulness, and harmony. They show that magic is often found not in grand spectacles, but in the subtle intersections of life, nature, and spirit, where the extraordinary is accessible to anyone who listens and observes with an open heart. And so, as we leave the islands of Japan for now, the whispers of hidden realms linger in our minds like a gentle tide, reminding us of the quiet, persistent beauty of the mystical. The kami of mountains, rivers, and groves, the spirits of the sea, the luminous visions of Ryugujo, and the meditative stillness of temple gardens all converge to create a landscape of wonder that endures across centuries. Japan teaches that hidden realms are not always distant or inaccessible. They are intertwined with life itself, awaiting only the attuned observer to step lightly, breathe slowly, and enter into their subtle, serene magic. The journey continues, carrying us toward new lands, new stories, and new mysteries yet to be revealed. Crossing oceans and continents, we arrive in the vast and diverse landscapes of South America, a land where jagged peaks, dense jungles, and flowing rivers converge to create a tapestry rich with hidden realms and ancient mysteries. Here, the Andes rise like the backbone of the continent, their snow-capped peaks piercing the clouds, while the Amazon stretches endlessly, a living sea of green, teeming with life both visible and concealed. These lands are repositories of legend and history, where civilizations once flourished and vanished, leaving behind whispers of hidden knowledge and sacred spaces. In South America, the boundary between the earthly and the mystical is fluid, and the imagination is free to wander through realms shaped by mountains, rivers, and the pulse of the natural world. The Andes, long considered sacred by indigenous peoples, are more than physical formations. They are spiritual corridors connecting the heavens and the earth. In the Incan worldview, mountains are living entities, known as apis, guardians of the people and intermediaries between humanity and the divine. Every ridge, valley, and summit carries significance, and pilgrims journey along winding paths to honor these spirits, offering prayers, coca leaves, and chants carried on the wind. The apis are both protectors and reminders. The visible mountains are guardians of hidden knowledge, their peaks standing as thresholds to realms beyond ordinary perception. In these high places, the air is thin and the mind is quiet, allowing the subtle energy of the landscape to become tangible to those who listen deeply. Imagine walking along an ancient Incan trail, the Andes stretching endlessly in both directions, peaks rising and falling like waves frozen in time. The sun glimmers off glaciers, casting silver and gold across ridges, while distant valleys remain shrouded in mist, hiding sacred sites and lost cities. Terraces cling to mountainsides, remnants of an intricate civilization whose understanding of earth and sky was profound. Each stone wall, each carved pathway, speaks of harmony between humans and their environment, an understanding that the visible world mirrors the hidden. The rhythm of footsteps, the whisper of wind, and the distant call of condors create a meditative cadence, a bridge to realms that exist both within the mountains and within the imagination. Among the most famous of these hidden realms is Machu Picchu, perched high on a ridge and shrouded in mist. The city seems suspended between earth and sky, its terraces and temples carefully aligned with the movements of the sun and stars. While much has been uncovered by archaeologists, Machu Picchu retains an aura of mystery, as though certain pathways and chambers are intended to remain hidden, preserving the sacred geometry of the landscape. Visitors often report a sense of quiet awe, as if the city itself were alive, whispering secrets of the cosmos and the hidden worlds that lie just beyond mortal comprehension. It is a place where the visible and invisible converge, a testament to the Incan understanding of harmony and the sacred. Descending from the peaks, the Amazon presents a different kind of hidden realm, one dense with life and layered with unseen forces. The rainforest is a living labyrinth, where sunlight filters through the canopy in shifting patterns, revealing glimpses of hidden rivers, secret clearings, and creatures both familiar and extraordinary. Indigenous peoples have long navigated these spaces, guided by intimate knowledge of plants, animals, and the spirits believed to inhabit the forest. Shamans serve as mediators, interpreting the subtle signs of nature, entering trance states to commune with spirits, and seeking hidden knowledge that can heal, protect, or guide. In the Amazon, the hidden realm is as much about the unseen forces of life as it is about the physical landscape, a place where imagination and observation merge in gentle, persistent exploration. Rivers in these lands are not merely conduits of water, but arteries of life and mystery. The Amazon, the Orinoco, and countless tributaries flow through the rainforest, carrying stories of civilizations lost, of gods and spirits who dwell along their banks, and of pathways that link the mundane with the sacred. Legends speak of submerged cities, invisible islands, and sacred groves where time itself behaves differently. Explorers who venture too far, guided by intuition and reverence, sometimes report fleeting glimpses of these hidden spaces, ruins glimpsed beneath water, echoes of ceremonies long past, or the shimmering presence of spirits in the dappled sunlight. These stories are not simply myth. They are expressions of human awareness of the natural world and of the subtle realms that coexist alongside it. The contrasts in South America are profound. The Andes rise stark and permanent, their peaks enduring through time, while the rainforest flows and shifts, unpredictable and teeming with life. Desert plains, high-altitude lakes, and glacial valleys each tell their own story, offering thresholds to realms both mystical and historical. The rhythm of day and night, sun and shadow, growth and decay, mirrors the cycles of hidden worlds, reminding us that every landscape is layered, and every layer carries significance. In this interplay, the imagination is free to wander, to construct visions of lands both real and dreamed, where the unseen exerts its quiet influence on the visible world. Among the indigenous narratives, there are tales of beings who traverse the mountains and forests, acting as guardians, guides, or challenges for those who venture into sacred spaces. The feathered serpent, serpentine deities, and ancestral spirits move in and out of perception, teaching lessons, imparting warnings, or simply reminding humans of the balance between humility and ambition. These myths reinforce the understanding that hidden realms are not merely physical locations, but spaces where perception, intention, and respect shape experience. To enter the Andes or the Amazon with reverence is to open oneself to these realms, to sense the subtle interplay of life, spirit, and the eternal forces that govern both. Consider the sensory richness of these lands. The crisp chill of high-altitude air, the gentle rush of a mountain stream, the scent of moss and flowers in a dense jungle, and the soft, persistent hum of life in every corner of the forest create an immersive environment. The hidden realms of South America are experienced as much through sensation and intuition as through observation. The mind, quiet and attuned, begins to perceive the delicate rhythms of life, the flow of energy through mountains and rivers, and the presence of spaces that exist just beyond ordinary sight. In this way, the Andes and Amazon are not merely places to be seen. They are realms to be felt, inhabited within the imagination, and carried gently in memory. And so, as the sun sets behind the jagged peaks and the shadows deepen within the rainforest, the hidden realms of South America remain alive in quiet resonance. The mountains, rivers, and forests all carry the energy of civilizations past and present, of spirits, and of the mysteries that endure across centuries. Listeners can imagine wandering ancient trails, moving through mist-laden valleys, and pausing to sense the subtle presence of worlds that exist alongside the visible. These lands remind us that hidden realms are layered, immersive, and profound, offering lessons about harmony, reverence, and the eternal rhythms of nature. The journey through the Andes and the Amazon prepares the mind to move onward toward other mystical lands where mountains, deserts, and oceans conceal stories yet to be discovered. South America teaches us that the hidden is not always distant. It is woven into the very fabric of the world, waiting to be perceived by those who move with care, awareness, and imagination. The lands we have traversed, with their contrasts of permanence and flux, light and shadow, seen and unseen, echo softly as we continue our journey, carrying with them the quiet, persistent invitation to explore, wonder, and dream. Across the Atlantic and deep into the heart of the African continent, vast landscapes unfold that are steeped in history, legend, and the quiet pulse of hidden realms. From sun-baked deserts to dense forests, from rolling savannas to rugged mountains, Africa's terrain is alive with stories that bridge the visible and the unseen, the temporal and the eternal. Here, civilizations rose and fell, leaving traces both tangible and intangible, while local myths and oral traditions preserve glimpses of realms beyond ordinary perception. In these lands, every tree, river, and dune carries meaning, as if the earth itself is a living archive of mysteries that have endured across millennia, whispering quietly to those who choose to listen. The Sahara, with its endless dunes and shifting sands, is more than a desert. It is a threshold to hidden worlds, a landscape where time seems to slow and perception stretches outward. The nomadic peoples of the desert have long understood that beneath the sand lie not only ancient ruins and fossils, but also the spirits of ancestors and guardians of the land. Mirages shimmer on the horizon, sometimes appearing as water, sometimes as distant cities, blurring the line between reality and imagination. Travelers who journey across the desert often describe a sense of timelessness, as if each step carries them further into a realm where the ordinary rules of space and time soften, revealing landscapes shaped by both nature and human memory. Among the most striking mysteries of Africa are the ancient civilizations that rose along the Nile, particularly in Nubia and Egypt, where hidden knowledge was etched into stone and preserved in sacred temples. The temples and pyramids are not only architectural marvels, but also portals to spiritual realms, spaces designed to align with celestial bodies and guide the soul on its journey. Every hieroglyph, statue, and burial chamber holds layers of meaning, inviting contemplation and quiet reflection. The contrast between the permanence of stone and the impermanence of human life creates a subtle tension, a reminder that hidden realms often exist at the intersection of mortality and eternity, visible in the material world yet intimately tied to the spiritual. Moving southward, the dense forests of Central Africa present a different kind of hidden realm, one alive with movement, sound, and life that is both seen and unseen. Giant trees rise toward the sky, their canopies interwoven, creating a living cathedral beneath which the forest floor is cloaked in shadow. Rivers wind silently through the greenery, reflecting flickers of sunlight, while animals, both mundane and mysterious, move through the undergrowth, often glimpsed only briefly before vanishing. Indigenous peoples have long navigated these spaces, attuned to subtle signs, listening to the whispers of the forest, and learning from its rhythms. Shamans and elders describe encounters with spirits and hidden beings, emphasizing that the forest is both a home and a gateway, a living map of realms invisible to casual observation. Imagine walking along the edge of a rainforest at dawn. Mist rises from the river, curling around the roots of massive trees. The air is thick with the scent of earth, leaves, and flowers, and the distant calls of birds and primates echo like a living chorus. Every step feels deliberate, measured, as if the land itself is aware of your presence. Shadows shift, revealing fleeting glimpses of creatures or shapes that cannot be fully defined. The forest seems to breathe, and with each inhalation, one becomes more aware of the layers of life and mystery woven into its fabric. Here, hidden realms are not distant. They are immediate, intertwined with the ordinary, and accessible to those who move quietly and attentively. Africa's mountains, too, hold secrets. The Drakensberg, the Atlas, and Kilimanjaro rise like ancient sentinels, their peaks often shrouded in clouds, carrying legends of gods, spirits, and heroic ancestors. Climbing these heights, one experiences a profound sense of elevation, not just of the body, but of the mind and spirit. The mountains are liminal spaces where earth and sky meet, where the boundary between the known and the hidden is thin. In the minds of local peoples, these peaks are sacred, repositories of wisdom, and passages to realms of insight and reflection. The wind carries stories, the rock faces hum with the passage of time, and every shadow cast by the sun or moon becomes a gateway to imagination. The hidden realms of Africa are also revealed through water. The great rivers, the Congo, Niger, and Zambezi, serve as arteries of life, carrying both sustenance and mystery. Waterfalls, such as Victoria Falls, possess an almost hypnotic power, where mist and roar conceal the spirits that dwell in the currents. Rivers are pathways to other worlds, sometimes described as routes to ancestral realms, sometimes as thresholds to hidden kingdoms. Stories speak of spirits inhabiting the waters, of places where time behaves differently, and of lands that exist simultaneously in the visible and invisible worlds. In these watery passages, contrasts abound. The serenity of flowing currents against the roar of falls, light filtering through mist, shadow dancing on water. These dualities invite the imagination to explore, to sense, and to wander gently into realms that cannot be fully mapped. Among Africa's savannas and grasslands, the open plains offer yet another kind of hidden realm. Here, life is visible in its abundance. Herds of animals moving rhythmically across the land, the sun rising and setting in slow, majestic arcs, and the wind sweeping across the grass in constant motion. Yet even in such openness, hidden worlds persist. Patterns of life, the cycles of predator and prey, and the migrations that follow ancient rhythms all speak of layers beyond immediate perception. Tribal traditions, passed down for generations, preserve knowledge of these rhythms, emphasizing respect, observation, and harmony. In the openness of the savanna, one realizes that hidden realms are not always concealed by physical barriers. Sometimes they exist in patterns, in the subtle cadence of life, and in the quiet attentiveness of those who dwell within them. The myths of Africa, from the stories of the Dogon in Mali to the legends of the Yoruba in Nigeria, echo the deep connection between people and the hidden forces of nature. Beings that inhabit the sky, the land, and the waters guide humanity, offering insight, protection, or caution. These entities are neither wholly benevolent nor wholly malevolent. They exist in balance, reflecting the contrasts that define the hidden realms themselves. They teach that awareness, humility, and respect are necessary to navigate the delicate threshold between the ordinary and the extraordinary. To enter these realms, whether through ritual, meditation, or careful observation, is to attune oneself to the pulse of the land and the timeless knowledge it carries. As dusk descends, the landscapes of Africa transform. Shadows deepen, the air cools, and the stars emerge one by one in the vast sky, each a silent witness to the hidden realms below. The desert, forest, mountains, and plains all hum with quiet energy, carrying the presence of the unseen, the ancient, and the eternal. To listen, even silently, is to touch these realms, to sense the interplay of contrasts, light and shadow, permanence and impermanence, motion and stillness. Africa teaches that hidden worlds are not separate from the ordinary. They are woven into every aspect of life, awaiting those who move with awareness, respect, and imagination. And so, as we leave the deserts, forests, and mountains behind, the echoes of Africa linger like a soft drumbeat, a rhythm that carries through the mind and imagination. The continent's mystical landscapes remind us that hidden realms are layered, immersive, and alive, existing in stone, water, air, and memory. They call gently to those who listen, guiding the spirit toward reflection, wonder, and quiet exploration. The journey continues onward, carrying with it the lessons of Africa. That mystery is intertwined with reality, that the visible world is infused with unseen forces, and that every landscape holds the potential for discovery, contemplation, and the enduring presence of hidden realms. Across vast oceans, where the horizon blends seamlessly with the sky, lie the islands of Oceania, scattered jewels of land rising from the deep blue expanse. These islands, from the volcanic peaks of Polynesia to the lush forests of Melanesia, carry a legacy of hidden realms, ancestral spirits, and mystical landscapes. Here, the sea is as much a pathway to wonder as it is a boundary, and the islands themselves are living symbols of creation, endurance, and mystery. Waves lap gently on shores lined with coral reefs, while the wind carries whispers of stories passed through generations, stories of gods, heroes, and lands that exist both within memory and imagination. In Polynesian tradition, islands are sacred spaces, each imbued with a unique spiritual essence. Mountains, forests, and lagoons are alive, inhabited by deities, guardians, and ancestral spirits. Pilgrimages to volcanic peaks, where lava once flowed and now rests as black stone, are acts of devotion and reflection, linking mortals with forces both creative and destructive. The land and sea are inseparable. The ocean is a conduit between islands and realms beyond human perception, while the islands themselves serve as points of convergence where the divine and the earthly meet. In these places, the natural world carries layered meaning, and every shadow, gust of wind, or shimmer of sunlight may hint at realms hidden from ordinary view. Consider the concept of Te Fiti and other island deities, powerful beings associated with creation, fertility, and protection. Their presence is felt in the rhythm of tides, the growth of crops, and the flight of seabirds. To live in harmony with these forces is to perceive the subtle threads connecting all life. In Polynesian navigation, these hidden realms are integral. Knowledge of stars, currents, and winds is not merely technical, but intertwined with spiritual understanding. The ocean itself is a map of invisible pathways, a realm where the known and unknown converge, guiding travelers to both physical destinations and deeper insights. Hidden realms in this context are not distant or abstract. They are woven into the very act of living, exploring, and understanding the world. In Melanesia, dense jungles and volcanic islands are home to equally compelling hidden spaces. Tribal villages often occupy sacred sites, chosen for their alignment with spiritual energies and the ancestral presence. Oral traditions preserve the knowledge of these places, recounting encounters with spirits, sacred animals, and mystical phenomena. Trees, rocks, and rivers are more than landmarks. They are guardians, teachers, and reminders of the delicate balance between the human and the divine. In these stories, contrasts emerge between shadow and light, the mortal and the eternal, the known and the hidden. The jungle becomes both a protector and a guide, concealing and revealing its mysteries according to the awareness of those who enter it. The islands of Oceania also feature hidden realms beneath the waves. Coral reefs, atolls, and underwater caves harbor ecosystems that feel otherworldly, vibrant with color, movement, and light. Local legends describe sea spirits, submerged cities, and pathways that shift with tides and moonlight. Divers and storytellers speak of luminous fish, patterns of coral resembling temples, and currents that seem to move with intention, guiding or warning those who explore too far. In these aquatic realms, time behaves differently. Perception stretches, and ordinary experience becomes infused with wonder. The ocean is a mirror of hidden worlds, a place where the visible interacts seamlessly with the unseen, and where imagination and observation converge in delicate balance. In Polynesian cosmology, the journey between islands is also a journey between realms of existence. Ancestors, spirits, and gods are ever present, and rituals ensure that their guidance and protection remain constant. Canoes and sailing routes are not merely practical. They are spiritual tools, connecting the voyager to hidden energies of sea, sky, and land. The very act of navigating, reading stars, and observing the behavior of waves is a form of communion with the unseen. The contrast of open ocean and isolated islands reinforces a central truth of hidden realms. They exist both in vast spaces and intimate places, in movement and stillness, in the delicate harmony between human life and the natural world. Imagine walking along a volcanic ridge at dawn, the first light brushing the contours of the land, and hearing the gentle hiss of the ocean far below. Palms sway softly, birds call to one another, and the scent of salt and vegetation mingles in the cool morning air. In this moment, the boundary between the material and the mystical seems porous. One can sense the spirits of the land and sea, guardians of hidden realms who watch, guide, and protect. Every stone, every leaf, every ripple in a tide pool carries a message, subtle yet insistent, inviting the observer to move slowly, breathe deeply, and attune to the rhythms of the world. The islands are alive, each a living map of unseen spaces, waiting to be felt rather than merely seen. Festivals and rituals across Oceania further reveal hidden realms. Dance, chant, and ceremony bring the spiritual into everyday life, bridging worlds and inviting participants to step lightly into the unseen. Costumes, masks, and movements echo ancestral stories, embodying the presence of deities and spirits. The ocean, the sky, the mountains, and the forest all participate in these enactments, creating a multi-layered experience of connection. Here, contrasts of sound and silence, movement and stillness, the ephemeral and the eternal, all serve to deepen awareness of hidden realms. The listener, even in imagination, can feel themselves immersed in this rhythm, gently guided toward reflection, wonder, and inner calm. In some islands, caves and volcanic formations serve as portals to mystical spaces. Inside, air feels cool and heavy, water trickles silently, and shadows dance on walls that have witnessed countless generations. Tribal myths speak of ancestral spirits residing within these spaces, guarding knowledge, treasures, and sacred rites. The contrast between light and darkness, above and below, human and spirit, create a heightened sensitivity to the hidden forces at play. Venturing into these realms is not an act of conquest, but of reverence, observation, and quiet openness. The mystical essence of these caves and formations teaches patience, humility, and attentiveness, qualities necessary to perceive the hidden layers of the world. And so, as the sun sets, casting golden reflections across coral reefs and volcanic peaks, the hidden realms of Oceania persist quietly, layered across land, sea, and sky. Waves, wind, forests, and mountains hum with subtle energy, carrying stories of gods, ancestors, and mystical landscapes. The islands remind us that hidden realms are not confined to distant lands or unreachable heights. They exist in the interplay between observation, reverence, and imagination. They invite gentle wandering, mindful reflection, and the quiet cultivation of wonder, teaching that the extraordinary is accessible whenever one listens carefully, moves thoughtfully, and opens the heart to the subtle rhythms of the world. As we prepare to leave the islands behind, the echoes of hidden realms linger like the gentle pull of the tide, soft and persistent. The journey across Oceania has revealed that hidden worlds can be found in the meeting of land and sea, of human and spirit, of story and perception. Each island, reef, and peak carries lessons about harmony, attentiveness, and the interconnectedness of life. The ocean's vastness and the island's intimacy together create a sense of expansive wonder, preparing the mind and imagination for new mysteries still to be discovered in lands beyond the horizon, where mountains, rivers, and ancient civilizations continue to hold the quiet, persistent presence of hidden realms. Europe, with its rolling hills, dense forests, and ancient stone cities, is a continent steeped in hidden realms and whispered legends. From the mist-covered highlands of Scotland to the sun-dappled valleys of Italy, from the shadowed groves of Germany to the rugged cliffs of Ireland, the land carries the echoes of civilizations long past, where myths and history intertwine seamlessly. Castles perch atop hills like silent sentinels, cathedrals rise toward the sky with echoes of devotion, and labyrinthine forests conceal secrets both natural and mystical. Every cobblestone, every tree, and every river has been a witness to countless stories, preserving the delicate balance between the known and the unseen, the tangible and the imagined. In the Celtic lands of Ireland and Scotland, forests and hills are alive with the presence of the Ow's Sea, the fairy folk, guardians of hidden realms that coexist alongside human settlements. These beings, invisible to most eyes, inhabit mounds, groves, and ancient stones, revealing themselves only to those attuned to their subtle signs. The Celts believe that the world is layered, that beneath the visible lies another, parallel reality where time flows differently and the ordinary rules of existence bend. It is a land of contrasts. The warmth of a village hearth versus the shadowed cool of a forest glade, the human realm versus the fairy mounds, the known world versus the hidden. These contrasts draw the imagination, inviting gentle exploration and quiet reflection. Imagine wandering along a misty forest path at dawn. Dew clings to leaves, soft light filters through the canopy, and the air is thick with the scent of moss and earth. Shadows shift, and every rustle of leaves or distant bird call feels charged with possibility, as if the forest itself breathes with life both visible and unseen. Among the trees, ancient stone circles rise, silent witnesses to rituals performed across centuries. Each stone is etched with history and mystery, aligned with the movements of the sun, moon, and stars. These ancient monuments, whether used for observation, ceremony, or communion with the unseen, are portals into hidden realms, inviting the mind to wander beyond the confines of ordinary reality. The mountains of Europe, from the Alps to the Carpathians, also carry the weight of hidden realms. High peaks and secluded valleys have long been thought to harbor spirits, hermits, and guardians of ancient wisdom. Folktales speak of creatures that inhabit caves and mountain passes, guiding or testing travelers, while monasteries perched on cliffs serve as thresholds between the earthly and the divine. The contrast of the rugged, untamed peaks and the careful human constructions of stone and prayer reveals the delicate interplay between the visible and the hidden, the enduring and the ephemeral. Mountains are places of reflection, where the mind can expand in quiet wonder, attuned to both the grandeur of the landscape and the mysteries that linger beyond perception. Throughout Europe, rivers and lakes have inspired stories of hidden worlds. The Rhine, the Danube, and Loch Ness carry not only water but centuries of legend. Lakes are said to conceal lost cities, submerged palaces, and magical creatures that emerge under moonlight. Rivers, flowing through forests and past castles, are living pathways to realms both historical and mystical, connecting landscapes, peoples, and the hidden threads of folklore. Standing beside these waters, one can feel the gentle pulse of time, the layering of stories and events, and the quiet presence of worlds that exist in parallel with the ordinary. The interplay of reflection and depth, light and shadow, visible surface and hidden currents, offers a meditation on the nature of perception itself. In the rural villages and cobblestone towns scattered across Europe, hidden realms often manifest subtly in traditions, festivals, and rituals that have survived centuries. The ringing of church bells at twilight, the quiet procession through ancient streets, and the whispered legends told by elders create an atmosphere where the unseen is acknowledged with gentle reverence. Here, the ordinary world and mystical layers overlap. The past is never entirely gone, and the present carries traces of hidden realms. It is a quiet, immersive magic, accessible to those who walk slowly, observe closely, and allow themselves to perceive the subtle harmonies of place and story. Consider the forests of Germany and France, where the brothers Grimm collected tales that still linger in the imagination. Woods that seem ordinary by day transform at night into landscapes of mystery, where witches, spirits, and enchanted creatures dwell. Paths curve unexpectedly, shadows lengthen, and the wind whispers secrets that have traveled across centuries. These forests, both real and symbolic, teach the contrasts inherent in hidden realms. The familiar becomes strange, the safe becomes uncertain, and every journey through the landscape becomes a journey into the imagination. Listeners, even in quiet reflection, can feel the thrill of wandering these paths, attuned to the delicate interplay of light, shadow, and story. Europe's hidden realms are not only natural but architectural, embedded in the stones of castles, cathedrals, and ancient ruins. Gothic arches, labyrinthine halls, and cloisters evoke a sense of sacred mystery, where light and shadow dance across walls, revealing intricate carvings and hidden symbolism. These spaces, built with intention and reverence, invite quiet contemplation, drawing the mind toward the unseen and eternal. The contrast between the permanence of stone and the impermanence of human life emphasizes the layered nature of existence, reminding us that hidden realms can exist even amidst bustling villages or city streets, waiting for perception to notice and imagination to awaken. The legends of kings, knights, and enchanted realms further enrich Europe's mystical tapestry. Arthurian tales speak of Camelot, Avalon, and Excalibur, blending history, morality, and myth into narratives that transcend time. Forests, lakes, and mountains become stages for quests, spiritual trials, and encounters with beings beyond ordinary human understanding. These stories reinforce the central lesson of hidden realms. They exist at the intersection of perception, intention, and imagination. To enter them is to cultivate attentiveness, patience, and reverence, qualities that allow the ordinary and extraordinary to coexist in harmonious tension. As twilight descends across Europe, the hidden realms reveal themselves in subtle ways. The flicker of candlelight in a chapel, the reflection of stars on a still lake, the rustle of leaves in an ancient oak grove. The land hums softly with history, myth, and the lingering presence of what is unseen. Shadows lengthen, pathways become more mysterious, and the mind becomes more attuned to the delicate rhythms of the world. Here, hidden realms are accessible not only through travel but through awareness, observation, and imagination. They remind us that the mystical is never far from the ordinary, that every landscape, whether wild, cultivated, or built, carries layers of meaning waiting to be discovered. And so, as we prepare to leave Europe, the echoes of forests, rivers, mountains, and stone cities linger, like a gentle refrain, guiding the imagination toward reflection, wonder, and quiet curiosity. The continent teaches that hidden realms are everywhere, woven into the natural world, preserved in ancient architecture, carried in oral traditions, and illuminated by myth. They exist in contrasts, light and shadow, visible and hidden, permanence and transience, inviting listeners to wander slowly, perceive deeply, and explore the gentle mysteries that linger in the landscape and in the mind. Europe's mystical lands become a bridge, connecting history, imagination, and the quiet, enduring presence of realms that remain hidden, waiting patiently to be discovered by those who move with awareness, reverence, and wonder. The Middle East stretches across sun-baked deserts, fertile valleys, and rugged mountains, a land where the whispers of ancient civilizations linger in the wind, and hidden realms have been imagined, discovered, and revered for millennia. Here, the sands of Arabia, the rivers of Mesopotamia, and the peaks of the Levant carry traces of human ingenuity, spiritual aspiration, and the subtle interplay between the known and the unseen. Every oasis, every stone, and every ancient ruin is a vessel of memory, holding stories of empires, prophets, and hidden worlds that existed alongside ordinary life. In this vast and often harsh landscape, contrasts are everywhere. The arid desert against lush river valleys, the permanence of stone ruins against the ever-shifting sands, the human scale of cities against the cosmic scale of the heavens. These contrasts cultivate a sense of wonder, drawing the imagination gently into realms that lie beyond perception. The deserts of the Middle East, particularly the Rub al-Khali, or empty quarter, are more than expanses of sand. They are thresholds to hidden realms, spaces where time stretches and perception deepens. Travelers report a unique stillness here, a silence so profound that it becomes almost tangible, as if the desert itself holds its breath. Mirages shimmer on the horizon, fleeting and tantalizing, suggesting oases, cities, or figures that may never exist. Nomadic tribes have traversed these lands for centuries, guided by stars, intuition, and the subtle rhythms of wind and sand. For them, the desert is alive, a guardian of mysteries, a canvas on which both the visible and the hidden can be perceived with careful attention. Every grain of sand carries a story. Every shifting dune hints at the impermanence of the world and the persistence of the unseen. Along the banks of the Tigris and Euphrates, civilizations once flourished, leaving behind layers of hidden worlds embedded in ruins, cuneiform tablets, and sacred sites. Mesopotamia, often called the cradle of civilization, birthed writing, law, and urban organization, yet its people also envisioned realms beyond the ordinary. Underworlds, heavens, and cities ruled by gods whose presence was felt in every temple, canal, and ziggurat. The contrast between the human constructs of brick and stone and the imagined spaces of divine governance creates a tension that sparks curiosity. Walking among these ruins, one senses that hidden realms are never far away. They are encoded in symbols, aligned with celestial movements, and whispered through the myths that continue to resonate across millennia. Imagine entering an ancient temple at dawn, the first light of the sun filtering through intricately carved columns. The air is cool, tinged with the scent of stone, incense, and the faint aroma of the earth itself. Shadows stretch across walls decorated with pictographs and symbols, each a doorway into the imagination. The temple is both a physical structure and a manifestation of a hidden realm, a space where the divine intersects with human endeavor. In these moments, the ordinary world fades slightly, and the mind becomes attuned to the layers of meaning embedded in every architectural choice, every alignment with the stars, and every whispered legend passed through generations. The hidden realms of Mesopotamia remind us that history, spirituality, and imagination coexist, revealing the extraordinary within the ordinary. The mountains and plateaus of the Middle East also serve as gateways to hidden worlds. Peaks of the Zagros, Taurus, and Lebanon ranges rise with an almost eternal presence, their cliffs and valleys shaped by wind, rain, and time. Local myths speak of hermits, prophets, and spirits inhabiting these heights, guiding those who seek wisdom, offering protection, or presenting challenges to those who dare approach. Caves tucked into mountain faces have long been sanctuaries of meditation, contemplation, and spiritual communion. Here, the contrast between rugged terrain and human perseverance, isolation and community, the visible and the unseen, encourages a heightened sensitivity to the mystical. To move through these mountains is to journey into hidden realms, attuning to energies that have lingered across centuries. Oases scattered across deserts are small, delicate realms of life, mystery, and refuge. Palm groves, flowing water, and lush vegetation create spaces that contrast sharply with the surrounding sand and stone, appearing almost miraculous to travelers and locals alike. These havens often became sites of settlement, commerce, and spiritual reflection, carrying stories of encounters with the divine, sacred rituals, and hidden knowledge. The presence of water in an arid land serves as a reminder that hidden realms can emerge where life persists, even in the harshest conditions, and that small spaces can harbor vast mysteries. Every whisper of wind through palm fronds, every ripple on a pool of water becomes an invitation to perception, reflection, and quiet wonder. Cities of the Middle East, both ancient and enduring, hold layers of hidden realms in their architecture, streets, and cultural memory. Babylon, Petra, Jerusalem, and Damascus are not merely settlements. They are living palimpsests where human activity and spiritual aspiration converge. Alleyways, courtyards, and hidden chambers invite discovery, while mosques, temples, and palaces encode cosmic understanding in their design. The contrast of bustling markets with serene sacred spaces reflects a balance between the ordinary and the mystical. In these urban landscapes, hidden realms are accessible through observation, reverence, and imagination, revealing that mystical spaces are not confined to wilderness or ruins, but can exist within the rhythm of daily life. Consider the sacred narratives that permeate this land, stories of prophets, kings, angels, and mystical journeys. These tales describe realms of heaven and earth, guidance, trial, and transformation, teaching lessons about morality, insight, and the eternal. The contrast they present, temporal versus eternal, human versus divine, visible versus hidden, invite deep contemplation. Listening to or imagining these stories becomes a form of travel, a way to enter hidden realms without moving physically, to explore spaces shaped by faith, imagination, and human aspiration. The Middle East teaches that hidden realms are both internal and external, tangible and conceptual, physical and spiritual, and they can be accessed through awareness, storytelling, and quiet reflection. As dusk settles over the deserts, rivers, and mountains, the hidden realms of the Middle East reveal themselves in subtler ways. The wind carries faint echoes of ancient chants, the stones seem to hum softly, and the shifting sands reflect the movement of unseen forces. Stars begin to appear, mirrored in the waters of the Tigris and the Euphrates, connecting the heavens with the earth and hinting at realms beyond ordinary sight. In this quiet, contemplative space, one senses the persistence of hidden worlds, their presence woven into the fabric of land, water, and history. They remind us that mystical landscapes are not distant. They are embedded in our perception, waiting for awareness, respect, and imagination to awaken their presence. And so, as the sun disappears beneath the desert horizon and shadows lengthen across ancient ruins and sacred valleys, The hidden realms of the Middle East endure in quiet resonance. The deserts, rivers, mountains, and cities all hum with layers of meaning, blending history, myth, and the unseen. These lands teach that hidden realms are everywhere, in the harshest sands and the most enduring stones, in moments of reflection as much as in grand narratives. They invite listeners to move with care, observe with attention, and dwell in wonder, showing that the mystical can be found wherever life, history, and imagination intersect. The journey through the Middle East carries the mind gently forward, preparing it to explore the next landscapes, the next hidden worlds, and the quiet, enduring mysteries that await beyond each horizon. Across cultures, certain locations were believed to exist at the intersection of worlds, places where the veil between the ordinary and the mystical thins. Mountains, groves, lakes, or caves were seen as thresholds where the hidden and the visible could meet, and where humans might glimpse truths beyond ordinary perception. These thin places are not merely physical. They are symbolic, reflecting the delicate balance between the known and the unknown, reality and imagination. Travelers and seekers of old approached them with quiet reverence, aware that such spaces demanded mindfulness, humility, and openness. In these liminal spaces, ordinary life feels suspended, and the subtle presence of mystery invites gentle reflection. Experiencing a thin place, even in thought, encourages awareness of life's unseen patterns and the interconnectedness of all things. They remind us that the hidden realms we explore outwardly also exist inwardly, within the imagination and consciousness, offering a calm invitation to dwell in curiosity, contemplation, and serene wonder. Ancient mystical lands and hidden realms were more than stories. They were vessels of timeless wisdom. Within myths, rituals, and sacred landscapes lie gentle teachings about patience, humility, and respect for the unseen. Lost civilizations remind us that even greatness fades, yet knowledge and insight endure through symbols, artifacts, and oral traditions. Guardians, portals, and sacred spaces invite reflection, showing that courage and curiosity are balanced by reverence and mindfulness. Celestial alignments and natural patterns highlight interconnectedness, teaching humans to notice rhythms beyond immediate perception. These lessons are subtle, quietly guiding us to explore both the world and our own inner landscapes. In listening to the whispers of history and myth, we learn that true understanding is less about answers and more about embracing wonder, nurturing awareness, and walking gently through life with a sense of calm curiosity. As our journey through hidden realms draws to a close, we enter a space of quiet reflection. Mystical lands, lost cities, and sacred landscapes linger in memory, inviting calm contemplation. The contrasts we have explored, the known and unknown, the seen and unseen, remind us that mystery is part of life's beauty. The lessons of ancient lore encourage mindfulness, humility, and reverence for both the natural world and the inner self. In this twilight state, the journey outward mirrors an inward voyage, guiding us toward serenity and gentle awareness. Hidden realms remain alive in imagination, inspiring curiosity and reflection long after the story ends. By embracing these subtle mysteries, we carry a sense of wonder and calm, allowing the quiet echoes of the past to settle softly within, like a gentle twilight over a hidden landscape.